Hello everybody, you know me. Okay, no you don't, but you know who I am. My name's Jay, and I'm sitting right next to...
Liam Landry.
And it's the UK tournament. It's the second or quarterfinal, semi, and final all in one night with two other matches in between to keep things fresh. Yeah, let's get right to it. First match, we have Zach Gibson versus Jack Gallagher, the gentleman Jack Gallagher, and we got to see the face version of Jack Gallagher, the cruiserweight classic version that I became a real big fan of, and it's a shame that 205 Live doesn't allow us to see that a lot anymore. Hopefully they will again. I think they will. But yeah, I absolutely enjoyed this match. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good matchup there. Yeah, just really good in-ring work and good storytelling with the heel face dynamic.
Yeah,
So
and I really enjoyed that they only went outside of the ring in this match once. I think they showed a lot of restraint and stayed inside of the ring, and that is something you don't really get to see very often in a WWE match, or any match for that matter. So I really enjoyed it, and the pace was just really, really good as well. And there were so many times where you thought Jack Gallagher could actually upset and get the pin. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Shangley Gates applied to Jack Gallagher, causing him to tap. Zach Gibson moves on to the semis. And yeah, this match was definitely worth it. Very, very strong match, and definitely given enough time to breathe, too.
Yeah, definitely worth it, yeah.
Then we have Joe Coffey versus Dave Mastiff. Not my favorite match probably my least favorite match of the night in regards to the tournament itself. It was definitely two big men jockeying for position in this one, and I'm not the biggest fan of the big man brawl. I do enjoy it when they add something different, but this one didn't really seem all that different to me. What did you think of it?
I think it was a pretty solid matchup. Nothing out of the way that was like too wrong or too bad or anything. But I think it was real good. I think it could be lacking for a lot of people, like you and others kind of think that way. So I can see why some people won't like it, but I think it's overall a very solid matchup.
Yeah, it's for me personally, it wasn't my kind of match. That I think that's all that was.
Yeah.
But overall, Joe Coffey does win with his spinning forearm, I think it was, or forearm lariat, something like that.
Spinning lariat.
Okay.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
And he moves on into the semis, but a piece of note was he was favoring his side immediately after the match. We'll get back into that later on. Next match was Flash Morgan Webster versus Jordan Devlin, and I thought this was a very fun match. Both of these guys definitely have a presence about them, which is really cool. And you don't really get a lot of wrestlers that have that sort of gravitas, like on the ramp, coming down, in the ring work. So it was very refreshing to see, for me at least.
Yeah, two charismatic guys, and I would say Flash does really well with his character work as the mod father, as they call him, and it was really good. And there's some complaints I have with Flash, but they kind of come up later on from this. But so I'll get to it at those points.
Yeah.
But I think it was really good. We said Flash. Yeah, Flash won.
Yeah, Flash Morgan. I didn't.
Okay.
No. Yeah, like Liam said, Flash Morgan Webster did get the win here, and I thought it was worth it because it definitely showed the talents between the two men. in the ring. So it was a fun match. But I don't think we said. I think for you it was worth it. The match before, Joe and Mastiff. Yeah, Coffee and Mastiff. And for me, it wasn't only because I'm not into that style of match. But yeah, let's move on to the fourth match, the final quarterfinal match, and that was Travis Banks versus Ashton Smith. The Kiwi Buzzsaw was definitely great in this match, and I don't know if it was just the fact that it was Ashton versus Joseph Connors, and they just didn't mesh well, but this was so much more entertaining than their other match. I don't know if it's Ashton, Joseph Connors, or it's just their chemistry isn't very good, but Travis definitely pulled out a really good match. However, Ashton Banks, like Liam, I'll let you explain that one. What's his gimmick? It seemed like.
You mean Smith?
Yeah, Ashton.
Ashton Banks.
My bad.
Ashton Smith.
Ashton Smith.
It seems like his gimmick is that he's kind of impatient. There's a point where he jumps into the flying enziguri from Travis Banks, and there's some other silly stuff there too. Yeah. And I would say he doesn't I didn't like his first match with Connors because it was very one-sided and kind of the build, and he kind of had some of that, but it was broken up more, so it wasn't as bad.
Yeah.
He had his kind of hulking out moment, when he was taking chops and not no selling, but I think his side was okay, but I think Travis Banks' side was much better.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, Travis is definitely a charismatic wrestler. As of none.
Has a nice intensity.
Yes, he does.
About him,
he is the Kiwi Buzzsaw for a reason.
And growling, some nice growling.
Yeah, and then like Liam said, Ashton Smith really wanted to feel that insecurity, so he jumps right into it after his. I don't remember what it's called, but after Ashton's finisher, after Travis Banks' finisher, 1, 2, 3. Travis moves on to the semis. So that's the first 4 matches of the event, and yeah, this match was worth it. Even though it was a bit silly, it was worth it, and it was fun.
Yeah, I think it was worth it. I think if it wasn't Banks in there, it probably wouldn't be as worth it as much if it was maybe another guy. But
yeah,
Banks it was still worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we had a break in the tournament to have a triple threat. It was a number 1 contender shot for the next day's event for the NXT Women's Championship. We had Toni Storm versus Killer Kelly versus Isla Dawn. Did I get that right? Yes, I did. Isla Dawn, cool. And I enjoyed where they were going with this match, and I did like the fast-paced movements with them, but you then realize why it was so fast paced very shortly after, unfortunately. I'll let you talk about what you thought about the match first before we explain further.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. We can just kind of go into say it didn't really get a lot of time. It's a very short match, but they told a story in there. They showed and developed the characters in there in that time, so there's a lot of work with the short time they were given.
Yeah, and right when the bell started, it felt like the bell rang, and Toni Storm is your winner. But like Liam said, they were able to showcase what they were able to do in such a short time, which is not an easy task. And I really loved Isla Dawn's facials in the match. She's basically like Adam Cole, where she was very expressionable with whenever something went wrong for her, and that was really cool. But other than that, I would say it was worth it because the 3 women in the match definitely put on as much as they could do with the time they were given. And Tony Storm is awesome, so yeah, it was worth it.
Yeah, I'd say it's worth it as well. Hmm.
All right, then it's time for the semifinals. The first match: Flash Morgan Webster versus Zach Gibson. And if you thought the triple threat match between the women was a fast match, well, you haven't seen anything yet, because I felt like this one was even shorter.
Yeah, yeah. It was quite short, and it had its good moments, but but I feel both guys could. Well, especially Zach Gibson, since he has the working limb working over a limb.
Yeah, yeah.
His style is more geared towards longer matches, so I don't think this really helps him and suits him in that. And
Yeah.
And I would say with Flash, I don't know if it was at this point or by the next day, but my problem came from him was I felt like he was redoing a lot of big spots that he was. He had some new stuff as it came on, but I mean it was definitely this. He kept going for suicide dives a lot. And that's kind of my only big thing that I felt from Flash is that.
Yeah, he definitely felt like the Roman Reigns, where it's the same moves constantly, but he did throw out that pretty cool almost 619 into the Hurricane Rana.
Yeah,
that looked cool.
He did some other cool stuff, but yeah.
But to no avail. Zach Gibson won, and yeah, it was weird. It was definitely weird that you just see them get, because they're outside of the ring for quite a bit. Then they both get into the ring, and then out of nowhere, Shangley Gates and an immediate tap from Flash Morgan Webster. It was like, it was a bit off to me, and I didn't really care for this one either, so I can't say it was worth it, because it just, we didn't get enough new, and before we could even think of what was new, the match was over.
Yeah, and if you were gonna have a match of this length, you really had to re-gear his, like I said, his style would have to go over a longer period of time. You had to really work it in that shorter period of time, and they really didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And then the one last point that, oh, dang it, I lost it. It was we while we were watching, we were shocked at how quick this match was, and Liam mentioned to me, maybe they should have said this more, but maybe it's because they have one more match and they have to try to get it as fast as they can. But this was the only tournament match this fast, so they definitely dropped the ball on this particular one.
Yeah, I think they also dropped the ball with having that as a storyline. No one seemed really worried about carrying over damage or selling moves, selling injuries as it was going on, or worrying about trying to get quick wins in just to go to the next one.
Yeah, so it felt a bit off.
Yeah.
And then we had Joe Coffey versus Travis Banks, and this was a fun match, because even though it was big man, smaller man, they didn't treat it like that throughout the entire match. They did have those spots in there, but it was definitely less so than the first round stuff that we saw. Also, coming down to the ring, holding his sides, was Joe Coffey, so he kept the injuries from the first match onto this one.
At least down the ramp. It didn't seem like it much in the match itself.
Yeah, it was definitely off and on for him in the ring. But
I mean, to compare, it didn't seem like great storytelling. I mean, Matt Jackson still is still selling his back injury.
Seth Rollins is still selling his knee.
Yes.
But yeah, it was a fine match, and they had a lot of good stuff going on back and forth. What did you think?
Yeah, I think it was a good matchup, and they had you have to have the fact that it's a big man versus smaller man come into play because it makes sense for the storyline. But there's ways that you can do it where it's boring and slowed down, and ways you can do it where it's more entertaining and dynamic. And this is more the entertaining and dynamic route.
Yeah, definitely. And the match ends when the match ends when Travis Banks
Zach Gibson makes a run.
When Travis Banks gets the pin after a roll up, 1, 2, 3. Yes, this match was worth it.
Yes, worth it.
After the match, we did have Joe Coffey snap, and he grabbed Travis Banks and threw him shoulder first into the post, injuring Zach Gibson for the finals, which was a big okay. And it was interesting because before this, Travis Banks was definitely the heel. Then he shook Ashton Smith's hand as a sign of respect, getting the pop from the crowd. And then after the win and the throwing into the ring post, he turned face throughout the course of the day, which was pretty cool. You don't really see that very often. We'll get back to all the Travis Banks stuff in a bit, but before the finals, we had one more match. It was British Strong Style versus Undisputed Era. Of course, British Strong Style has Trent Seven, Tyler Bate, and Pete Dunne. Undisputed Era has Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and Adam Cole, baby, representing. Of course, Bobby Fish is still not eligible to wrestle at this time due to injury. So, yeah, these guys brought it.
Yeah, I think it was a really great matchup. There was a lot of editing problems.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and this showed more than any other match of the night. I kind of take it out of it a bit, but overall they were really great in ring, in wrestling. So I think what they were able to do in ring definitely held on to the match. I think the editing was why it was only a 4.5 star, because this could have propelled way further than just 4.5, because it was that entertaining, that good of a match. I like, again, when it comes to NXT, I like that they decided to go for the hot tag early, and then they just tag in whenever they feel, and it just goes back and forth. They don't wait on the hot tag for too long, and they don't have that to build for the end, which is always a refreshing thing, especially if you have to watch WWE Raw every single week. But yeah, it was a fun match. It was good. It was worth it. Yes. Yes, worth it. Yeah.
And if it was Kevin Dunn or if it was someone else, do not have 5 edits just for one move. It's ridiculous. That's just as bad as when a movie has 10 edits for jumping a fence. It doesn't showcase. It doesn't look good at all. And then our main event of this night was the Travis Banks and Zach Gibson. Zach Gibson coming out with a taped shoulder.
Travis Banks.
Dang it. Oh man, I am messing up all horrible today.
That's all these
Travis
crazy
Banks.
British names that you can't get. These get confused.
I'm so much better with Japanese names.
Yes.
But Travis Banks comes out with a taped shoulder, and that's basically the story of the night. Can he overcome with a taped shoulder? This was probably the best match of the night. They pulled out, other than of course British Strong Style and Undisputed Era. It's a toss up between those two for me. The two men pulled out all the stops in this final. Yeah, it was very entertaining. What do you think?
Yes, it was very entertaining, and they of course used a lot of parallels with the last UK tournament where Tyler Bates was injured. So it kind of gives you kind of go back to that ideas of that tournament and how it worked out, and really helped solidify Travis Banks as a face, and really really solid matchup with both guys looking really really good and really really strong as it goes on. So
Yeah. And then I think two Shangley Gates roped out, finishing moves, hit, kicked out. It went back and forth, and it was one of those matches where not one man had all the offense and in hope spots. They both had great offense in at different times in the match. Even Travis Banks with the injured arm or shoulder, and that was really cool. But alas, Zach Gibson does get the win with the Shangley Gates after the third attempt, and after a tap out, your UK tournament champion is Zach Gibson. Yes, it was worth it.
yeah, worth it. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and overall, they had a few little bit of iffy moments, but overall, this was a fun event and very, very entertaining. Like most NXT produced stuff, it felt a lot faster than the WWE main roster events, so that's always nice. But yeah, overall, this event was worth it. What do you think? Overall?
Yeah, I thought it was worth it overall. Yeah.
All right, and that's the end of this particular video for the UK tournament. Check out our next video that we're going to be filming immediately after this one, which is the Championship NXT TakeOver London. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please give us those sexy, sexy likes.
And the unsexy ones.
Don't forget to share to all of your friends.
And your enemies.
If you like what we do, please hit the subscribe button and become a part of the Smarky family. And then go over and hit the notification bell. Why should they hit the notification bell, Liam?
So you can get notified for when we go live. We go live for most pay-per-views. We're also going live for the New Japan G1 special for July 7th. And also we go live for our podcast every Sunday at 1 p.m. Central Time. And what's the name of that podcast, you said?
It is Shooting with the Smarky family. Yeah, and you also want to be notified when our videos go up.
Yes,
we work really, of course, and we work really hard on our videos, and we work really hard on being able to display our thoughts and opinions on the wrestling that we watch. And it's possible that we are going all in live. Dang it. We are going live for All In for a reaction video on September. And not next week, but the week after. I don't know if you'll be here by then. July 19th, they're gonna have MLW. We might go live for their Battle Riot show. We don't know yet. We're still figuring out the kinks there. Yeah, and be on the lookout for new and fun content coming up soon. All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, it will be awesome.